Yes, my friends, everything points to this week being packed with big conversations. You already know that Elliot Wolf is a top-level general manager who knows how to make the best decisions like no one else. The New England Patriots have an important issue to sort out before the month of August arrives. I have to admit, I'm counting down the hours to see the Patriots soaring high in the games of the new season. And if you believe we're heading back to the Super Bowl once again, smash that like button with all your energy. And if you can, write this in the comments. Go Pats! I believe! Let's get ready, because this year could be something truly special. Have you been wondering what really drives the pulse of this Patriots team as they brace for training camp less than 2 weeks away? Let's start peeling back the curtain because, behind the scenes, there's a mix of urgency, high expectations, and maybe even a bit of desperation to redefine this offense and prove that New England's defense can be dominant once again. The rookies are slated to report on July 19th, the veterans on July 22nd, and if you blink, you'll miss the quiet before the storm. That's the backdrop for everything brewing in Foxborough, and it sets up a season that might look completely different from anything we've seen since the Brady era ended. Let's get right into it. When you talk about defensive impact players, it's easy to look straight to the corners, especially Christian Gonzalez, who's already playing with a swagger that says he wants to be among the NFL's top 3 at his position alongside Patrick Surtain and Derek Stingley. But here's what hardly anyone is talking about, the return of Christian Barmore to full health. Last year, Barmore's absence was felt in a painful way. The Patriots were buried near the bottom of the league with just 28 sacks. In 2023, when Barmore was fully operational, he was arguably the best player on that defense and among the most disruptive defensive tackles in football. Now, if the blood clots that sidelined him don't come back, he's expected to anchor a line that will look drastically improved. Next to him will be Milton Williams, who never even played 50% of snaps in Philadelphia because the Eagles were stacked. In New England, he'll get a true chance to show he can wreck a pocket consistently. This pairing means that if you double-team Barmore, you leave Williams in a one-on-one scenario he can win. And if you focus your protection inside, Harold Landry is going to be screaming off the edge. That combination alone could flip the script for this defense and finally get the Patriots back to imposing their will on quarterbacks instead of chasing them. But defense isn't the only side of the ball that's getting a radical overhaul. Offensively, there's no bigger question mark than whether Josh McDaniels can rescue what Alex Van Pelt left behind. Let's be blunt, last year's offensive scheme was uninspired, bordering on archaic. The Patriots called almost no designed runs for Drake Maye despite his clear athleticism. You want a telling stat? Only 14 yards came on designed quarterback runs the entire season. Yet when Maye scrambled, he piled up over 400 yards, often making something out of nothing. That's why McDaniels was brought back, because he is publicly committed to evolving this attack with RPOs, designed QB runs, and even the tush push, leveraging Maye's big frame in short yardage situations. McDaniels has said outright that he wants to expand into a modern offense, and ownership is expecting him to deliver. Of course, you can scheme all you want, but you need playmakers. Enter Stephon Diggs. If you think about last season, Maye was forced to throw primarily to tight ends. Hunter Henry and Austin Hooper combined for 110 catches because no wide receivers could consistently separate. Pop Douglas and Keyshawn Bout showed flashes, but no one could stretch a defense vertically or demand a double team. Diggs changes all of that instantly. While no one is absolutely certain whether he'll be 100% by week 1, the offseason training videos he shared show him looking healthy and fluid. The hope in Foxborough is that his presence unlocks the next stage of Drake Maye's development into a franchise cornerstone. The urgency is real. If this doesn't work, the Patriots will have to keep pouring resources into the offense. Because while the defense is stocked, the offense is still under construction. Diggs will draw coverage, and that could open lanes for Pop Douglas in the slot. McDaniels loves short, quick passes to shifty slot receivers, a throwback to what Wes Welker, Julian Edelman, and Danny Amendola did to defenses for years. Pop Douglas has the suddenness and acceleration to thrive on those dink and dunk routes, and with defenses forced to pay extra attention to Diggs and Kyle Williams, Douglas could finally have the breakout season fans have been waiting for. No one's predicting 1,000 yards, but you'll see the best version of Pop since he arrived. The front seven is also a fascinating piece of the puzzle. While the defensive line has star power with Barmore, Williams, Landry, and Keon White, it's the linebackers who may quietly be the best group overall. The signing of Robert Spillane, who posted 148 tackles last season, was huge. Christian Ellis is back. Jawan Bedley, Jalani Tavai, and Marte Mapu, who is moving from safety to linebacker full-time, round out a unit with depth and versatility. Mapu, in particular, looked much more comfortable closer to the line, and his hybrid skills could be a weapon against modern offenses. As a group, they're arguably the deepest position room on the roster. If you're wondering about the secondary, the reality is that it hinges on Carlton Davis's health. He's never played a full season, and if he goes down, the entire picture changes. But if he stays on the field alongside Gonzalez, this secondary could finish top 5 league-wide. Marcus Jones remains an intriguing wild card. He's a 5 feet 10 inches blur who can lock down receivers and provide gadget plays on offense if the staff chooses to finally use him that way again. One of the front office's priorities before kickoff is extending him, because letting him reach free agency could be a costly mistake. On the offensive side, rookie Travion Henderson was drafted to be the new James White. The second-round pick from Ohio State is a dynamic pass catcher and will have specific plays drawn up for him every week. The expectations are modest, maybe 600 rushing yards, but the hope is he'll catch at least 40 passes and give Maye an outlet when things break down. And if Rhamondre Stevenson doesn't cure his fumbling issues or struggles to produce behind the revamped defensive line, Henderson could end up RB1 sooner than later. And then there's Ethan Chisholm, the name no one expected to hear so much about. Despite not making the roster yet, he's generated a surge of excitement. His college resume, 120 catches, over 1,300 yards, 13 touchdowns, has turned heads. Comparisons to Cooper Kupp have already popped up, but the more accurate comp is Julian Edelman. Both about 5 feet 10 inches, both about 200 pounds, neither blazing fast but strong, savvy route runners with exceptional hands. His ceiling is Edelman's role as a dependable slot receiver, a chain mover who becomes the quarterback's security blanket. The floor, failing to make the team at all. But the sentiment from inside the building, from Mike Vrabel to Diggs to McDaniels, is that Chisholm is on a collision course with a roster spot. Imagine this: Drake Maye, Diggs outside, Pop Douglas in the slot, Chisholm as the Edelman clone, Henderson in the backfield, and a creative playbook from McDaniels. For the first time in years, this offense could look unpredictable. That vision alone is enough to keep fans glued to every training camp report. And now, I want to hear from you. What do you think about this blend of proven stars, untested rookies, and a coaching staff that's promising a completely different approach? Do you believe this is finally the formula to bring the Patriots back to the top of the AFC East, or are there still too many question marks? Drop your thoughts below, because your opinions are what keep this community alive. And let's not pretend the path back to relevance is going to be easy, because even with all these upgrades and the optimism crackling through the locker room, the Patriots still have to claw their way through a division that feels like it's tightening into a two-team arms race. The Bills are pushing all their chips in for a Super Bowl run, and the front office in Buffalo has made it clear that they're building specifically to dethrone Kansas City. That's the measuring stick now. Anything less than a conference championship game is failure for them. But here's the thing: New England has been here before. They've been the overlooked challenger, the team that the rest of the AFC East thinks is an afterthought. And history shows that's when they're at their most dangerous. You want evidence? Look at the schedule. On paper, it's the softest slate they've faced in years. Titans, Panthers, Browns, Raiders, Commanders, all teams with uncertain quarterback situations or rebuilding rosters. Even the Dolphins, who have been painted as this